Basically, we figured you out and we turned on you because of what you did.
The biggest snubs came from the people who were actually quiet. The real slight came not from David Foster, but I think it came from Jaime Kern Lima, her former best friend.
But no wonder Meghan is having a collapse because Martha Stewart's turned on her this week. So too has Oprah Winfrey, both on video. And now the house has just found its way onto a real estate website. They're quietly quitting Montecito because they cannot afford it.
Something is going very wrong around Meghan Markle right now, and this time it is not one awkward clip, one bad headline, or one random social media fight. It is everything hitting at once. Jaime Kern Lima, a woman who was once publicly gushing over Meghan, has suddenly gone quiet while posting content about narcissistic people.
How do you get rid of a narcissist in your life? And I thought, well, you pretty much did it right there, babe.
Martha Stewart has blown open another embarrassing Hollywood dispute. Big celebrity names who once made Meghan look connected, powerful, and wanted were nowhere to be seen around her birthday.
This was all particularly tragic given that Meghan herself had to mark her own birthday.
Strange questions are now growing around the Montecito mansion that was supposed to symbolize Harry and Meghan's glamorous new life in America. And even David Foster, one of Harry's longtime friends, has now been dragged into a public cleanup after another awkward Meghan headline.
But when the Daily Mail briefing didn't work, Foster forced to go on the record by Harry and Meghan. And this is why celebrities want nothing to do with these two, because mountains are constantly made out of molehills.
So what is actually happening here? Because one incident can be dismissed, two can be called bad luck. But when old friends go silent, celebrity encounters turn into public damage control, birthday plans shrink, and rumors start circling around your home at the same time, you have to ask the obvious question. Is Meghan Markle's Hollywood world starting to collapse around her?
She just keeps doing it over and over. But I'll be frank with you. I think the real slight came not from David Foster, but I think it came from Jaime Kern Lima, her former best friend.
And suddenly, all of those separate little stories start looking a lot less separate. This is not one enemy attacking Meghan. It is not one royal feud she can blame on the palace. These are people, parties, dinners, red carpets, friendships, and even the California home that became the centerpiece of her new life. One by one, the image is getting harder to sell. So forget the old royal war for a moment. Look at what is happening inside Meghan's own American world, because that is where the trouble is now piling up fastest.
Are the friends in your life right now real, true friends? Are they rocking chair worthy friends?
Jaime Kern Lima is not a household name to everyone, but her sudden change is hard to ignore. Last year, she was publicly warm toward Meghan. There were glowing messages, affection. The kind of visible friendship Meghan has always been very good at turning into part of her public image.
Great friendship. You and I have had so many amazing days and moments sitting in these two rocking chairs in my house, just talking about all the things and
For hours.
for hours.
This year, nothing public for Meghan's birthday. And then, at almost the same time, Jaime began pushing content about narcissistic personalities. One post asked how to recognize a narcissist. Another discussion focused on what narcissistic people do, how they fail to reflect, and how they behave in relationships.
Who could she be talking about, Paula?
I'm not sure, but I do think it's interesting that the biggest snubs came from the people who were actually quiet.
Before we continue, I want to mention something really quick. Organizing your family's important information is one of those things most of us know we should do, but we keep putting it off. That's exactly why there's the Family Vault. It gives you one place to organize your important documents, insurance, medical information, passwords, and more, so everything is easy to find when it's needed. You'll find the link in the description, or you can scan the QR code on your screen. That's all. Now let's get back to today's story.
Now, to be completely clear, Jaime did not say Meghan was the person she was talking about. She did not name Meghan. She did not accuse Meghan of anything. But come on. Do you really expect people not to notice the timing? A woman who publicly celebrated Meghan before suddenly goes quiet, and then content about difficult narcissistic personalities appears right next to that silence.
This Jaime Kern Lima comment that you refer to on her Facebook, because if indeed it is true that there has been a split, this does seem pretty pointed to me, what she's written, Paula. So look at this. She writes, wondering if someone in your life is a narcissist, or maybe you've even asked, what if I'm a narcissist? Communication coach and expert Jefferson Fisher shares something comforting right off the back. If you're asking if you are one, you're probably not one, because true narcissists don't ask, they don't reflect, they don't do empathy, they only do themselves. Again, it all just feels rather pointed, as you say, on the week where there was no birthday message at all.
Maybe it is coincidence. Maybe it has absolutely nothing to do with Meghan. But Jaime is not the story by herself. She is just one name in a much bigger pattern. Serena Williams. No big public birthday celebration for Meghan. Beyoncé? Silence. The Kardashians? Suddenly very quiet.
Serena didn't wish her happy birthday. Of course, they're not really talking anymore. Beyoncé, she of the text, didn't do anything. The Kardashians, also insanely quiet. The only people who wished her happy birthday were Kelly Zafjan and Tracy Robbins.
Abigail Spencer, one of Meghan's most visibly enthusiastic friends from her Suits days, she had been publicly gushy before. This time, nothing comparable appeared.
Like Abigail Spencer last year, you know, her Suits co-star, last year went public, this year did not. Well, that doesn't make any sense.
I think it does make sense because I think people just have had enough.
And the Kardashian silence carries an extra sting because this is not happening in a vacuum. Harry and Meghan were already pulled into drama around Kris Jenner's huge birthday celebration, where their appearance became its own headline machine. The party was supposed to be about Kris. Instead, the Sussexes became part of the noise around it, with photos, arrival questions, and another wave of attention that had almost nothing to do with the woman actually celebrating.
Like,
Yeah,
no
well,
celebrities want to be dragged unnecessarily into a storm. And this is now happening with quite disturbing regularity. I mean, you're completely right, of course, to mention the Martha Stewart debacle last week. But remember, the Kardashian 70th, Kris Jenner's 70th birthday wasn't that long ago. And it completely overshadowed what was a major night for Kris, who, whatever you think of her, has had an incredible career, an incredible life.
And that is where this gets uncomfortable. Hollywood friendships do not usually end with a press conference. Nobody sends out a statement saying, "I am no longer Meghan Markle's friend." They simply stop showing up. They stop posting. They stop defending. They stop attaching themselves publicly to the person.
And Jeff Bezos was hosting this party for her. She got the great and the good there, and all anyone was talking about was Harry and Meghan because of the way that they chose to escalate something that was quite small into a major international scandal. This is what they do. They can just never shut up.
One silent birthday message means nothing. But when multiple people who were once useful pieces of Meghan's celebrity circle all become noticeably quieter at the same time, that silence starts making noise. And the birthday is where that silence became impossible to ignore.
There were no congratulations or celebrations from the Kardashians or the Williams or even her Suits co-stars. So instead, as ever, the account that she runs, the account that she writes, posted this. Happy birthday to our founder, Meghan.
Because Meghan's 45th was supposed to be a celebration of where she is now. Successful, connected, Hollywood, free from the royal family, surrounded by powerful people who supposedly chose her. Instead, the entire thing ended up highlighting who was missing. The story now circulating is that Meghan had originally wanted something much bigger, not just a quiet family moment, a real celebrity event.
It's just Meghan celebrating Meghan. Meghan wishing herself birthday messages from Meghan to Meghan.
The names attached to the imagined guest list were huge. Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, Serena Williams, Amal Clooney. The kind of people who would instantly tell the world, look, Meghan is still Hollywood royalty. But that giant celebration never appeared.
How do you make friends as an adult? It's such a great question.
Instead, the birthday became much smaller, much more controlled, and much more Meghan-centric. Photos, social media content, the little kitchen tiara moment. Her own brand celebrating its founder, a handful of loyal friends posting public messages. And suddenly the question was not, who came to Meghan's birthday? It was, where is everybody?
There was one public message, one. Nothing from the royal family, nothing from any A-list friends, one message publicly from Kelly J. Zedgefan, who wrote, "Happy birthday to this great dream girl. You are very loved."
That is brutal, because Meghan's whole American reinvention has depended on proximity. Proximity to Oprah, proximity to Serena, proximity to Ellen, proximity to Hollywood power, proximity to billionaire circles, proximity to celebrities who make every dinner, party, launch, and photograph look important. Take those people away, and what is left? A lifestyle brand, a mansion, Harry, a few loyal friends, and a constant stream of arguments about why the big names are not there anymore.
Yes, 6, 7, 8 photographs, plus various posts, plus a video. This is really celebrating quietly. But this is Meghan. She doesn't want to celebrate it quietly.
That is a very different image from the one Meghan has spent years building. And if the disappearing friends were the quiet warning, David Foster became the loud one. The red carpet clip looked painfully awkward. Meghan reached out as Foster walked past her. The moment exploded online, and suddenly everyone was arguing about whether one of Harry's longtime friends had just snubbed Meghan in front of the cameras. But then came the cleanup.
As sources close to Foster have now exclusively revealed to the Daily Mail the truth behind the perceived snub. Foster wanted Harry and Meghan, the exclusive insider insisted, adding that the composer genuinely just didn't see the as-ever founder on the red carpet. He's always been a big fan of Diana, and he'd never snub either of them. Yeah, fan of Diana. Isn't that telling? That's what you call damning with faint praise. It was a genuine moment where he didn't see them and nobody really thought much of it. It's nothing. A second insider, wonder who that was.
Foster publicly insisted there was no snub at all. He said he had already greeted Harry and Meghan about 10 minutes earlier. He called them dear friends. He said the red carpet moment was simply people moving into position for a photograph, and blasted the idea that anything uncomfortable had happened. Fine, maybe that is exactly what happened, but that is almost beside the point now.
They turned simple positioning to get the best photo into a hurtful lie. Now, folks, I'm going to level with you here. Do you really think that's how David Foster talks? Do you really think that's how the straight, manly music producer who's been in this industry for decades, who's dealt with monsters for decades, really talks? They turn simple positioning to get the best photo into a hurtful lie. No.
Why did a 3-second red carpet moment need a full public defense in the first place? Why did a charity event suddenly become days of headlines about Meghan Markle instead of the charity itself? Why did Foster end up having to explain where he was standing, when he greeted them, and whether he had ignored Meghan? That is the real problem.
And here was the headline. No, David Foster did not snub dear friend Meghan Markle on the red carpet at charity events. So basically, what you saw with your own eyes didn't happen, says Meghan propagandist. You don't need to be doing this, mate. You know how awful they are. But he did.
Every celebrity who steps into Meghan's orbit now seems to risk becoming part of the next Sussex drama. One weird glance, one badly timed movement, one photograph, one comment. Suddenly, that person is spending the next several days inside a story they probably never wanted. That is exactly why the Foster situation matters beyond Foster. It is not about whether Hollywood secretly hates Meghan. That is too simple. It is about risk.
David Foster did not write this statement. My belief is that Meghan Markle wrote this statement. Her PR team handed it on to Foster and McPhee, who reluctantly via their teams agreed to issue it to People magazine, which was a big mistake.
If every public interaction can turn into a multi-day argument, some people will simply decide the safest option is no public interaction at all. No photo, no gushy post, no big public friendship display. Nothing that can be dissected frame by frame. And when that starts happening, a celebrity circle can look smaller very fast without a single person ever announcing a falling out.
Because she does make this so public, it allows this sort of thing to be shown. Whereas if she had actually not posted anything on social media, the world wouldn't be able to see that. Hang on a minute, the Kardashians, Kris Jenner, I mean, even like all of these rich people that she hangs around with or gets freebies offers, there's no public. I mean, the Kardashians is quite a big snub, really, but I'm not surprised that they snub her after Photogate.
But silence was only one kind of warning. Then Martha Stewart actually started talking. Martha did not need to scream. She did not need to attack Meghan. She did not need some dramatic feud announcement. She simply described a California dinner. She said she and Meghan were guests at the same dinner after Meghan had returned from the palace. Martha barely spoke to her, but she knew Meghan had been talking about the trip. That alone was enough to cause chaos.
She still has it. She's going to say what she wants to say. It doesn't matter. And bless Martha Stewart for coming out and even saying this. I think a lot more celebrities that have been in contact with Meghan need to call her out. They need to say things that we're all thinking, because we don't respect them, but we totally respect Martha Stewart for saying what, just in the very casual, nonchalant kind of way that she said it. We feel that.
Because Meghan's relationship with the royal family is supposed to be delicate, private, carefully managed, every conversation with King Charles is treated like a diplomatic event. Every possibility of reconciliation becomes global news. And yet suddenly, Martha Stewart is casually saying that Meghan was discussing the palace at a Hollywood dinner. Then came the pushback. The response from Meghan's side was essentially that Martha must have misunderstood what happened.
She has been briefing to the Daily Mail, trying to make us believe that Martha Stewart was lying. A source close to Meghan saying that Martha must have been confused. I'm sorry, Meghan. We believe Martha.
Yeah.
Martha, who has, 7 decades of telling us the truth, 7 decades of sharing every aspect of her life, 7 decades of total authenticity.
Meghan was said to have only given a very basic answer about her European trip, and the fact that the two women were not sitting beside each other was used to question Martha's version. And there it was again. Another celebrity interaction, another argument, another public fight over what Meghan said, what somebody heard, and what really happened. Does this sound familiar yet? David Foster: that is not what happened. Martha Stewart: this is what I heard. Meghan sighed: no, that is not what she meant. Every tiny social situation seems to need a sequel, and celebrities hate mess.
But what you have, Meghan, is 10 years of lies. So I'm sorry,
Right.
I trust Martha.
That's
And
right.
you're calling
You don't
Martha a liar.
Right. Just make it worse, don't you? Just make it worse for yourself.
That is what makes this bigger than whether Martha likes Meghan or whether David Foster ignored her. Famous people can survive awkward dinners. They can survive weird red carpets. What they do not want is to wake up the next morning and discover that their face, their marriage, their words, and their event have all been swallowed by another Meghan Markle controversy. Why invite that into your life if you do not have to?
And they also don't think ahead. So if we're talking about the Kardashian birthday party, look at Beyonce and Jay-Z, who didn't go through the main entrance, asked to go through the side door, so there were no actual arrival photos of them. But Meghan and Harry don't even think far enough ahead for Meghan to have worn a poppy on her weird black dress that evening.
And that brings us right back to the birthday silence. Maybe Serena was busy. Maybe Beyonce simply does not post birthday messages. Maybe the Kardashians sent something privately. Maybe Abigail called. Maybe Jaime sent flowers. All of that is possible. But Meghan spent years making public friendship part of the product. The photographs mattered. The Instagram posts mattered. The celebrity dinners mattered. The famous names mattered.
Oh, what's that? What's that? Just the biggest Sussex PR disaster since Kris Kardashian's Photogate. Yep.
So when those public signs disappear, people are obviously going to notice. You cannot build an image out of celebrity validation for years and then suddenly demand that nobody reads anything into celebrity silence. And as if shrinking Hollywood support and 2 fresh celebrity messes were not enough, now there is Montecito.
Meghan Markle is trying to sell the house, but do so on the quiet. Like, she can't just put it on the market because imagine.
The mansion was supposed to be the ultimate symbol of the Sussex escape. No palace rules, no royal hierarchy, no grey British weather, no tiny cottage. Meghan and Harry had their huge California estate, palm trees, privacy, space, celebrity neighbors, and a multi-million-dollar backdrop for the new life they had chosen. But now, questions are suddenly swirling around that house too.
So this idea of getting it on the real estate websites, trying to sort of suggest, oh, look, our kitchen has been updated, even though nothing has really changed. And Nancy Sidley pointing out, my girl Restine Dollface was right. Why would this be in a Realtor magazine? And there is the headline on Realtor.com. Meghan Markle starts her 45th birthday with a pajama party around the kitchen of $14.7 million Montecito mansion. I mean, there's no way that they need to write about it on a website like that, P. Dina, unless the house is going to be coming up for sale.
There is speculation that Harry and Meghan may be quietly testing the waters around a possible sale rather than openly listing the property. The theory grew after their home started receiving fresh attention on real estate platforms, with new focus on the kitchen and interior after Meghan's birthday content. Does that prove the house is for sale? No. There is no confirmed public listing of the Sussex mansion, and it would be ridiculous to pretend otherwise. But the rumor is interesting for one reason. It arrives at exactly the moment everything else looks unstable.
And they cannot afford that home. I mean, it's so many things that are going wrong. And it's like the more they try to say or to put out there, the worse it is. I mean, don't they know that we are on to her? Like, we get it. Nothing is working. Like, what has worked for them, Dan? What?
Well,
Nothing.
The famous friends are quieter. The birthday looks smaller. Martha is talking. Foster is explaining. Meghan's Hollywood relationships keep turning into awkward headlines. And now people are asking whether the house itself could be the next thing to change. Then the story gets even more delicious. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are reportedly looking at Montecito. Think about that contrast for a second. One of the biggest celebrity couples on the planet is reportedly exploring property in the exact enclave Harry and Meghan once treated as proof that they had arrived at the absolute top of American celebrity life. Taylor and Travis potentially looking in. Harry and Meghan facing rumors about potentially looking out. That does not mean Taylor is replacing Meghan. It does not mean the Sussexes are being forced from Montecito. It does not mean there is some literal neighborhood battle happening behind gated driveways. But symbolically, it is devastating.
And it's really a replay of what happened with Martha Stewart last week. You take something, and instead of ignoring it and letting it die, you make someone come out with a statement, and all of a sudden there's second day, third day, fourth day news on something that shouldn't have been amplified at all, but they keep doing it over and over.
Because Meghan's entire post-royal story was supposed to be about upgrading her life. She left royal duty and entered American power circles. She moved to Montecito. She signed enormous deals. She appeared beside global celebrities. She built a lifestyle brand. She created an image of someone who had escaped an institution and built something bigger on her own terms. But look at the picture now. The celebrity birthday bash apparently never materialized. Major names stayed publicly silent.
It reminds me, she had a watch inscribed many years ago. She bought herself a tank watch and she had it inscribed for the future daughter that she might one day have. And it was like 2mm from mm. And it's still very much the same. Meghan can't help herself. She has to celebrate herself. We saw very, very similar when it was their anniversary. It was the celebration of Meghan. Everything was geared up for Meghan. And then this.
A former publicly affectionate friend suddenly vanished from the birthday conversation while discussing narcissism online. Martha Stewart casually exposed an awkward Hollywood dinner conversation and then ended up inside a public dispute over what Meghan really said. David Foster had to issue a statement explaining that he did not snub her after a few seconds on a red carpet exploded into an international story, and the Montecito mansion is now being dragged into rumors about whether the Sussexes could eventually sell. How many coincidences does it take before the image starts changing? And here is the most damaging part for Meghan.
We already know the history. We know how Meghan shows up. We've been seeing it and talking about it for years. Meghan just can't win. There's no way for her to win, but to really, really, truly, and believably change your attitude, change who you are.
None of this requires a palace attack. None of it requires Prince William. None of it requires King Charles. None of it requires some royal aid leaking against her. This is happening in the world Meghan chose. Hollywood, California, celebrity friendships, her own parties, her own social media, her own brand, her own home. That is why this feels different.
Come on, you guys. There's no planning, there's no foresight. And then when the you know what hits the fan, you're on the back foot and you amplify bad press, making everything about you instead of the event it was supposed to be about. Again, what was that David Foster event for?
Yeah, exactly. No one knows.
For years, every Meghan disaster could somehow be folded back into the royal war. The palace did not protect her. The British press hated her. The family was cold. The institution failed her. But who do you blame when Hollywood simply stops showing up? Who do you blame when Martha Stewart says what she heard at dinner? Who do you blame when David Foster needs to clean up a red carpet moment? Who do you blame when a huge birthday guest list apparently does not come together? Who do you blame when the public celebration is smaller than the image you spent years building?
You know, there are a lot of people who are like, well, maybe they sent it privately, but in Meghan's world, if you don't send something publicly, it didn't happen.
Before we continue, one quick thing. One thing I've realized is that most families don't have their important information organized in one place. That's exactly why I recommend the Family Vault, a simple printable and fillable organizer where you can keep everything from important documents and insurance to medical information, passwords. You'll find the link in the description, or you can simply scan the QR code on your screen. Now let's get back to today's story.
At some point, the excuses run out. And this does not mean Meghan has literally lost every friend she has. Obviously not. She still has loyal people around her. David Foster himself publicly called Harry and Meghan dear friends. There are people who continue to support them. There is no confirmed evidence that every celebrity relationship has collapsed. But that is almost what makes this worse. Because the question is not whether Meghan has zero friends.
Yeah, there's no one of note actually wishing her happy birthday. I don't think even her friends Abigail Spencer even gave a public gushing one. She's normally very gushy, but yeah.
Well,
it
she did
seems
last
that,
year, and they share a
yes,
birthday, so it was particularly strange.
The question is whether the Hollywood machine she once used to prove her status is still willing to perform that role for her. Right now, the answer does not look nearly as strong as it once did. The most powerful names are not rushing forward. The public friendships are not as loud. The birthday did not become an A-list spectacle. The Hollywood encounters that do happen keep turning into defensive statements and ugly headlines. And now the home that represented their California triumph is surrounded by fresh speculation at the exact moment a far bigger celebrity couple is reportedly eyeing the same neighborhood. That is not one bad week. That is an image crisis.
What's so interesting, by the way, is that as that one pointed out, Meghan Markle clearly never takes her own advice. Watch.
My teacher, Miss Palia, said, keep a good heart. I think it's one of those simple things that you can always remember no matter what situation you're in. Just keep a good heart.
Oh, keep a good heart.
Meghan can post the perfect photograph. She can dance in the kitchen. She can wear the little birthday tiara. She can launch another product. She can smile on another red carpet. She can tell the world everything is joyful, calm, beautiful, and thriving. But she cannot force Beyoncé to post. She cannot force Serena to show up. She cannot force Abigail to gush publicly. She cannot make Jamie's silence disappear. She cannot unsay Martha's dinner story. She cannot erase the David Foster clip from the internet. And she cannot stop people asking questions when the Montecito mansion suddenly becomes part of the conversation. That is the trap. The more Meghan tries to prove how strong her Hollywood life is, the more everyone looks at who is missing from the picture. And maybe that is the real story here. Not the people attacking Meghan, the people who are no longer rushing to stand beside her. So what do you think? Are we watching a few unrelated awkward moments pile up at the same time? Or is Meghan Markle finally discovering that the Hollywood circle she worked so hard to build is quietly shrinking around her? Because if this week is any indication, the biggest snub may not be one man walking past her on a red carpet. It may be an entire celebrity world learning that silence is easier than getting dragged into the next Meghan Markle disaster.